is that it is picked up. We have a structured way of engagement. We have very clear terms of reference, and then we have resources to enable those institutions to work. Then, of course, the other question, Brenda, you asked was about the recommendation to have a visit of the special rapporteur on HRDs. It also baffles us because we are not very sure why the government is not clear in allowing the special rapporteur for a visit. But interesting also, the other special rapporteurs who have demonstrated interest to visit Kenya, for example, the rapporteur on the right to health, have made similar kind of requests or expressions, but they have not been granted. I have no specific reason why the government or the Minister of Foreign Affairs is not keen in granting these special rapporteurs. But these special rapporteurs coming from the UN, they play a very crucial role. They will be able to bring out proper information to the state for action. And one of the things I know, if the special rapporteur on HRDs came to Kenya, would be, do you have a framework for the protection? Then how do we support the process to ensure we have a framework, we have a law, we have a policy on the protection of the HRDs? And then how do we ensure their safety, for example, in the Republic? How do we deal with the disappearances, for instance? Those are some of the issues the special rapporteur would be handling when he or she meets with the Kenyan authorities. So it's a good idea that you have special rapporteurs visiting the countries, but I think I urge the Kenyan government to open up space for the various special rapporteurs, because they will add value in the way we run our affairs as a country. Thank you.
If I just follow up to that, the answer you've given us about the rapporteurs.
Yes.
You've made it clear that even from where you sit, you don't understand why that is happening. But how does that make Kenya look internationally? That reluctance.
To tie with that question by Brenda, some of the recommendations is ratification of a number of international laws on human rights. There's another court ruling by African Court on GIEC, another one. This one is local on Corona Services Act. I mean, what does this say about Kenyan government willingness to have mechanisms to defend, human rights?
Thank you very much, Brenda. Once again, how does this make Kenya, look at the international, arena? I want to jog our mind back to Kenya participating or being a member of the UN Human Rights Council. So, being a member of the Human Rights Council, you should be able to demonstrate that indeed locally you are dealing with the human rights issues, that have been raised. And these are the issues that are always raised even at the UN sessions. I remember during the UPR in late December and early this year, the same question was put to the floor, and we didn't get a clear answer, by the Kenya government. So yes, you are a member of the UN Human Rights Council, but then back home there are so many things that you are doing, and I think this gives then the Kenya government an opportunity, to put things in order, so that even at the international level there are certain questions that you should be able to have addressed, back home before you meet in those sessions. Jacinta, the ratification of optional protocols. And when I look at the scenario within the African region, many African governments are not keen on ratifying the optional protocols. As mentioned in our discussions earlier, optional protocols gives the citizens a chance to raise their human rights concerns and violations at a different arena, when the local mechanisms have not redressed them to the satisfaction of those citizens. I don't know whether they fear the numbers of the cases that may go, outside the country. I'm not sure whether that will be causing an embarrassment, to the country. But the bottom line is, many African countries, including Kenya, are not keen on ratifying the optional protocols so that they give individual citizens in those countries the opportunity to air their human rights violations across, the borders. For example, the African Court on Human and People's Rights, among others. And of course, when you look at the Ogiek case, the Ogiek, as an indigenous community, presented a genuine case at the African Court. And there was a determination that was given. Kenya was even told to compensate. One of the key deliverables was to compensate that community. I think it was around 157 million, and do other things to ensure that other forest dwelling communities enjoy their human rights. The government went ahead and even put a task force, and we sat even in that task force. As a commission, we gave our recommendations of how to implement the recommendation. But then, it was in 2023. That's when we did the last meeting, and we were told, oh, KNCHR, you pick your items. So we had to sensitize and create awareness of the community about their rights. And when this government makes call it the compensation, how do you then handle the other issues relating to human rights and the conservation of the forests? Unfortunately, we have never moved since that last meeting. And the term of the task force expired, and of course, it has not been renewed to date. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Sorry, one question here.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Esther Diana from Standard Media Group. My question is, I've seen the recommendation for the Ministry of Interior. However, could you kindly speak to us about the relationship between human rights defenders and police officers? What is the missing link, and to what extent does it cause the infringement of human rights or of human rights defenders? And by extension, could you speak to us about, you say this report is an advisory on the situation of human rights defenders. From the Commission's point of view, what would you say is the status of human rights defenders operating environment in Kenya today?
Thank you. I will share that question with Samson. But a quick one, the operating environment of human rights defenders in the country is not good. We have seen even when there are demonstrations, the way they are handled. We have arbitrary arrests of the HRDs. Many of them, sometimes they are taken to court, and then they are released because there is no evidence of any criminal act. They are only expressing, violations of human rights. And I think the missing link that you are talking about here is how do we connect what they are expressing on behalf of the citizens as the voices of reason for the citizens, and how does the government take the same up? But we have seen the excessive use of force when it comes to dealing with HRDs in the country. Maybe Samson can also add a point.
Thank you,
as
Dr.
well.
I think the Ministry of Interior houses the National Police Service. And the National Police Service plays a very important role in maintenance of law and order. And I think it's always important to note that when it comes to protection and promotion of human rights, the National Police Service are actually in the center role in doing this. But the truth is that human rights defenders and National Police Service do not have, and members of the National Police Service do not have a very good relationship. So it's, for lack of a better term, a love-hate relationship. For example, when you want to do assembly, which is also known as demonstration, it's expected that human rights defenders would go to the National Police Service and present a notification, not a permission. In most of the cases, we've seen the notifications not accepted. And the law requires that when the notification is not accepted, you need to give a reason. And in most cases, they'll just be told, no, you'll not do it. And what follows after this? There would be a demonstration, which would be illegal. It will be dispersed violently. There would be injuries. There would be deaths. So the thing is, it's not a good relationship, which should not be the case. Ideally, we need to have a relationship where National Police Service should work hand in hand with human rights defenders as well as other state institutions like the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, as well as other NGOs in terms of sustaining the conversation on promotion and protection of human rights. Thank you.